Hello and welcome to the Traveling Knitter channel. My name is Steph and I live in Columbus, Ohio. It is July 2021 and this video is going to be talking about the books that I have read in the month of June. So if I've done this right, I should be showing an infographic of the breakdown of the books that I have read. I read a total of 6 books, and one of them was a Kindle book and another one was an audiobook, and then the other 4 were physical copies. And you would have seen the genre breakout. I'm gonna start with the books that I don't have physical copies of. For my Kindle book, I read the second Bridgerton book, which is the Vicount Who Loved Me. It is pronounced Viscount, right? Not Viscount. I've always said Viscount, and now I'm trying to remember how they pronounce it in Bridgerton. But anyway, so this is the second book, and it follows Anthony, and I didn't really like this one either. I just wasn't into how much, like honestly, Anthony was such an ass. He was rude, and then I didn't understand his infatuation with our lead love interest, and I also just couldn't understand his like weird logic. So if you've watched Bridgerton, now I don't know if they tell you. Am I gonna spoil this? I don't want to spoil it. Essentially, Anthony, he's the oldest son, so if you watch Bridgerton, he's the one that is constantly like telling Daphne what to do. And so this book revolves around him and of course him getting his love interest, and he's like adamant that he needs to marry, but he doesn't want to fall in love, and that he can't marry someone he loves because otherwise something will happen. And that's just so stupid. Like his logic was just so dumb that I had a really hard time empathizing with his actions because it was just dumb to me. It was just dumb. So yeah, I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I will continue with the series, but I don't see it. I am looking forward to Bridgerton season 2 though, because I think they'll do a lot better than the books. Hopefully. Next book that I read was Jacky Faber by L.A. Mayer, and I loved this book. The audiobook is fantastic. So if you haven't read this book, or you have and you wanted to reread it, I would really recommend the audiobook. It's not like multicast, but the casting was done really well, and there are sound effects, and it was really good. She had different voices for different characters. She had a great, like, is it Cockney accent? Like the London streets. It was really, really good. So this book follows Jacky Faber. So she is an orphan on the streets who gets kind of picked up by Charlie Rooster and his gang. And so that's how she, survives London. And something occurs and she decides to take her luck onto the ocean, and she manages to become a ship's boy on the HMS Dolphin. She disguised herself as a guy, and I think she's 12. I'm not sure. The age is, there's like she lies about her age, but I can't remember if she says that she's older. I think she says that she's older, but then again, maybe she doesn't, and it's just because she's a, you know, a girl that she looks younger. I can't remember. But either way, she manages to get onto the HMS Dolphin, and that's really the start of Jacky Faber Adventures. And it's fantastic. You get to meet these characters that you are going to follow throughout the entire series, namely Jamie, who is her love interest. I don't think that spoils it at all, because it is pretty dang obvious right at the beginning that that's where it's going to be. And it just, it took me back to the first time I read it, and I loved it. I enjoyed my time with it just like I did before. I'm so excited to continue with the series, and my thought right now is to listen to one audio book a month. And the first Jacky Faber book is pretty short, and then they progressively get longer. Like the last few ones, they're hefty books, but the font is relatively large. So I don't know, maybe like 500 pages. They're fantastic. And I gave that 5 stars. So then let's go to the physical books that I read. I did manage to read The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nevo. And so I forgot, I can't remember if I put this on my list. I feel like I forgot to put this on my TBR for the month of June, but I had pre-ordered this and I wanted to read this for June. Unfortunately, I accidentally got it a bit water damaged, which is really unfortunate. It was my fault. I had a migraine, and whenever I have migraines, I tend to put like cold washcloths on my forehead, and I had moved it to the side and it made my bed wet. And when I put my book down, it happened to be in the wet spot, and so it just kind of seeped in. So that's unfortunate. I did end up tabbing this. I don't color code my tabbing, and what I tab is typically just quotes that I like, statements that I find interesting, or things that I think are stupid. Basically, just like if I have a strong emotion about something, I'll tab it. And this book, if you don't know what it is about, it's a retelling or reimagining of The Great Gatsby from, I keep wanting to say Josephine Baker because of the singer, but by Jordan Baker. And so I had very high hopes for this book, and I almost question, sorry, I'm looking, there's like an airplane high up in the sky that just distracted me because it's so tiny. I don't know why I had such excitement for this, because I don't really like the original Great Gatsby. So I don't know how I got it in my head that I was gonna love this book. Because spoiler, I didn't think it was, like, the writing was great, but the storyline to me was just, I don't know. I thought maybe they would make it more exciting. So again, it follows Jordan Baker, The Great Gatsby. I feel like, do I need to give a synopsis on what The Great Gatsby is about? So the original is about this dude named Jay Gatsby, who is infatuated with Daisy Buchanan. Daisy is cousins of Nick Buchanan, who is the main character that we follow. Nick is like, he lives in the stagecoach coach house. He lives in a apartment building thing. on Great Gatsby's lands or like right next to it. And Jay uses Nick to kind of reintroduce himself into Daisy's life. They have an affair, essentially. Daisy's married, and in the end, everyone dies. Not really. In the end, you know, it's like doomed love, and Daisy is a horrible person. Jay is a horrible person. Nick, not that good of a person. Daisy's husband, terrible person. Everyone's just like not a good person. So moving to The Chosen and the Beautiful, this was magical realism, which I'm just gonna say not my thing. I have read several magical realism books, and I never like them. I don't enjoy them. So this, it threw me off because there was barely any magic. And then there would be sections where there was like this whole introduction of magic, but not really telling you what it is. It was like, wait, that's not a real thing, right? No, that's not real. And on top of it, I thought this was supposed to have this like big, like racial reckoning, and it was like introduced at the tail end of this book. So I don't know. I'm sad that I didn't enjoy this as much as I had thought I would. I'll run through some of the pieces that I tabbed. Oh, I have a habit of tabbing if I find a sentence that has the name of the title of the book, that was weird, has the title of the book in it. I like to flag that. So this one, it says, "It was no Mercury dime New York moon, but a harvest moon brought all the way from the wheat fields of North Dakota to shine with sweet benevolence down on the chosen and the beautiful." And that's a description of like the light coming down on one of Jay Gatsby's parties. Another piece that I flagged was Daisy talking about her daughter, and there's this line in here that she says, "I never wanted her. Tom may keep her after this." She's like talking about divorce and stuff. "He gave me a diamond bracelet for her when the doctors told us she would live. I'll give it back to him and her as well." And I feel like it was definitely more obvious that Daisy just not into anyone other than herself in this book versus the original Great Gatsby. So I think that was more fleshed out, and that it was very obvious that Daisy's a horrible person, really. So yeah, it was just fine. I'll probably lend this book out to a few people that want to read it, and then maybe sell it to Half Price Books. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. Next up is a library book, and that was My Plain Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. This book is really fun. It is about Jane Eyre, and you have a character named Charlotte Bronte. Bronte. And you've got ghosts. So in this, Jane Eyre is like she's at that boarding school, Thornfield Hall, and her best friend has died and she's a ghost, and Jane can actually see her. Charlotte, an aspiring writer, thinks that she's, you know, Jane's only friend, but she's like slightly obsessed with her, and she writes about her. And then we have a third character, Alexander Bell or something. I don't remember, but he's from the Society of Wayward Spirits, and he goes to places to capture ghosts and rehouse them. So it kind of follows those adventures. Again, very, very loosely following the plot line of Jane Eyre. And it really pokes fun at how like disturbing that book actually is. If you haven't read Jane Eyre, it is about this girl who went to Thornfield Hall boarding school, and then she leaves to be a governess to this girl in this mansion that is owned by Mr. Rochester. And I've read it. I didn't think it was that great either, because I also was creeped out by some of the things, and the fact that it's this older man who keeps his deranged wife locked up in the attic. Like, is she really deranged, or is he just making her to be? Like, who wouldn't go psycho locked up in an attic for months and months and months? Just think about it. We all went psycho in 2020 with all the technology that we have, and we still, you know, going stir crazy and stuff. So, so this book kind of pokes fun at stuff like that. And also the age gap, and just, it's enjoyable. The way that it's written is really fun. It's not a serious book, and you really fly through this. It's very easy to read. 3 points of view. And I gave this book 4 stars. Next up is a graphic novel. This is Fangs by Sarah Anderson. And it says that she's the author of Sarah's Scribbles, so that might be like a webzine. I've been meaning to read this book after seeing Chloe from Books with Chloe read it, and she loved it. And so on one of my Sunday runs, it was 100 degrees and I just could not go anymore, and I decided to treat myself by going to the library, and I checked, they happened to have this book available, so I went and picked it up, and I actually read it on my walk home. So this is about a vampire who kind of starts dating this werewolf, and it's just, you know, comics about their interactions of being, you know, a couple. Like, here's one. Like, it's funny, he's a werewolf, so he says woof, but like a normal person could also say that when seeing their partner in something sexy. Then oh, here's another one. Like, you know, do you want to go on a walk? No leash. He runs around because he's, you know, a werewolf. Like, it's just adorable. It's so adorable. It's so quick to read. And, you know, at first I was like, I don't know, this might, you know, it'll be good, but like, am I gonna love it? But I did. I really did like it. Also, oh, here's another one. Like, how funny is that? You know, she's a vampire, which means she's not gonna reflect in mirrors. So I really liked that. Thought it was really cute and a very quick read. And it's a really nice, it's a pretty book. It's like, it's cloth bound. Okay, last book that I read this month, or last month, is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. It was great. It was fantastic. This is also nostalgic feels. I love the special cover that I have. It's from an art shop called Nerdy Ink, and she designed these covers, and there was a special order, so I don't know if you can still buy these. And then the book itself it's like a box set that Amazon sells. Anyway, The Hobbit, if you have not read it or watched any of the 3 movies, the trilogy, Hobbit trilogy, The Hobbit is about it's a quest, and it is Bilbo Baggins, who does not want to go on an adventure, but adventure falls on his doorstep in the form of 13 dwarves and a wizard. And these dwarves want to take back their homeland, being a mountain, and the gold that is in said mountain. But there is a dragon in the mountain named Smaug, and they need to somehow get rid of him and take back their mountain. This is also the introduction to the ring that is then in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I feel like most people are gonna know this story, so maybe it's kind of dumb to recap what this book is about, but you've got Bilbo on the back, and Gollum, or Smeagol, and Thorin of Oakenshield, and then Fili, Kili, all the other dwarves. Where's Gandalf? Oh, guess there's no Gandalf on this one. That's fine. It was so enjoyable. Highly recommend listening to the Hobbit soundtrack while you read. And I am now commencing my rewatch of the movies. I am probably, those who are big fans of The Hobbit, of which I am, I'm probably in the minority in that I enjoy the Hobbit movies. Do they add a ton of stuff that is not in the books? Absolutely. Yes. Yes, they do. There are massive storylines that are not anywhere in this book that are purely made for that movie. But you know what? That's fine. It's okay to expand the universe. That's fine. Is it like plausible that Legolas would have met Bilbo and all them? Sure. Elves live a really long time. Is it unfortunate that Orlando Bloom definitely does not look like his 20-something self that he does in the original trilogy? Sure, that's unfortunate. But granted, they were made like 15 years later. So, yeah. Also, we can't maintain our 20-something body as much as I wish I could. So, I loved it. And I did only give it 4 stars just because it's not my favorite book. Like, I loved it more for the universe than for just the book itself. And with that, those are all the books that I read in the month of June. Let me know if you have read any of these books or if you are inspired to read any of these. It's interesting that most of these, it was either a retelling or a story I've already read. So in theory, every single one of these books that I read this month, other than Fang, is something that I have experienced before, which is interesting to think about it that way. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.